In every generation, there's a chosen one. She alone will stand against the vampires, demons, and the forces of darkness. She is the Slayer. While a show called Buffy the Vampire Slayer sounds cheesy, the main central themes of the show actually translate to real life more so than the supernatural fantasy world that Sunnydale is in. It's what's kept me a fan for over 20 years, and it's one of the main reasons why I think that everyone should watch the show in its entirety at least once in their lifetime. High school is hell, quite literally. There are many instances throughout the high school years where people think they're not good enough, or that they are not popular enough in regards to their family lives. If their parents get divorced, they may think that it's their fault. There are a lot of instances in the show during the first 3 seasons where typical teenage insecurities are translated through a weekly episode, whether it's the big bad of the show that week or of the season, or just the underlying subplot of the show. The school that Buffy and her friends go to is on a actual hellmouth that opens up directly underneath the high school. So this is not your typical high school. Lots of weird things happen. There's an episode where Buffy's fear that she is the cause of her parents' divorce becomes reality when her father sits her down and tells her that she is the reason. And at the end of the episode, obviously throughout the episode, there's a monster, so to speak, that is causing this to happen. And we find out at the end of the episode that she was not the cause of her parents' divorce. There's an episode called Out of Mind, Out of Sight, where a girl feels so unseen by her peers and the staff of the school that she literally becomes invisible, and she exacts revenge on those who made her feel that way. Towards the halfway point of season 2, Buffy sleeps with her boyfriend and loses her virginity to him. He's a vampire, and he has a soul due to a gypsy curse. This moment of true happiness with Buffy causes him to lose that soul, and he becomes evil again, which kind of plays into the fear that females have, that if they sleep with someone, that they are instantly going to turn into a different person and not be the same person that they fell in love with. One of the more prominent episodes of the series takes place in season 3. It was actually shot and filmed prior to the Columbine shooting in Colorado, and it was set to air 1 week after the tragedy occurred. They pushed it back into the season out of respect. Buffy overhears that someone is planning on killing the students, and she has to figure out how to stop it, but she can hear everybody's thoughts, and so she starts kind of going crazy. So it's up to her friends to figure it out. She gets better at the end of the episode, and we find out that it's the lunch lady who is planning on poisoning the students, and she stopped, luckily. But there's also a student named Jonathan who goes into the watchtower of the school and is going to kill himself, and Buffy ends up talking him off of that ledge. And so it touches on both school shootings and suicide in one episode, which really resonated with me. I had a very, very close friend who committed suicide my senior year. So that's an episode that really, really sticks with me. The season finale of season 3 is their graduation day, and everybody feels like, graduation is the end of an era in your high school years, and they relay this in the episode at the very end. There's a huge battle between the main Scooby gang, so to speak, and the mayor, who is trying to become a powerful demon, and they blow up the school and the mayor to stop this, and high school is officially over. And they survived. And there's a quote that Oz says that they say it was a hell of a battle, and he says, yeah, and he says, no, not the battle, the high school, we survived. So all of those are very, very telling thoughts that students have during their high school years. Another reason why I love Buffy is there were quite a few episodes that were considered groundbreaking for the time for a teen drama, especially in the late 90s, early 2000s, that other shows weren't doing. The three main ones are just phenomenally written, directed, acted, all of the above. Hush, which only includes 17 minutes of dialogue throughout the entire episode, was actually the only episode that was nominated for an Emmy. And it includes some of the scariest monsters that have ever been seen on a TV show, The Gentleman. Doug Jones, who is pictured here, who most people know from The Shape of Water, Hocus Pocus, Hellboy, Pan's Labyrinth. He's actually the main monster, the main gentleman in the episode, and he just does a phenomenal job in it. The Body, which is the only episode, well, the first episode to include a natural death, and show really the grief of finding a loved one who has died. Buffy's mom dies from a brain aneurysm, and just the moments right after that happens. Anybody who's lost a loved one, a very close loved one, can really feel the emotion in this episode. There's no music. Joss Whedon has mentioned multiple times before that he left music out of this episode because music has a way of comforting viewers, and he wanted everybody to feel the grief and just the heartbreak in this episode through the actors, and it's still to this day makes me bawl like a baby every time I watch it, and I've seen it probably 100 times and I still cry. The last groundbreaking episode, probably one of the most famous episodes of the entire series, is Once More with Feeling. It is a musical episode, and there are TV shows now who do this. It's almost kind of expected in a TV show nowadays, that are non-musical TV shows, to have at least one musical episode. I think they did it in Grey's Anatomy, which you definitely wouldn't expect it there. It was definitely a shock to Buffy viewers when it premiered, but it was done so well that it kind of set the bar for episodes, for future TV shows to do this musical episode. It features all original music. It's on repeat on my Spotify. I actually have the vinyl album as well. They used to do Rocky Horror Picture Show style showings of the show, although I believe Fox Media doesn't allow that anymore. But it's just, it's one of the best 45 minutes of television you'll ever see. The main central theme of the show is friends, family, and feminism to me. Friendship is a main theme throughout the entirety of the series. You have Buffy and her two best friends, Xander and Willow, who are, they fight side by side with her. They are considered outcasts, but they accept each other and they love each other no matter what. Even when at one point in the show, Willow becomes evil and tries to destroy the world, Xander talks her down by talking about their friendship and the love he has for her. It's a very pivotal point in the show. Buffy is the chosen one. She's the Slayer. She's supposed to fight alone. She's supposed to stay hidden with almost a secret identity, aspect, and because she has these close friends that help her throughout this series, she's unique, and it makes her more of a threat than the former Slayers, than her predecessors. There's an episode in season 5 called Family, where Willow's girlfriend Tara's blood family comes to take her away, and it really goes to prove in this episode that family isn't always blood. It's who you choose. It's your friends. It's those people that are willing to accept you no matter what, and who will be there for you through thick and thin. And sometimes that's not always your blood relatives. Sometimes family is who you choose and not who you're given. The idea of a blonde girl with superpowers and that fights these demons and the forces of darkness really transpires from the fact that Joss Whedon was tired of seeing the same old trope of the blonde girl in horror movies who always winds up dead and never fights back. And to me, that was a big thing with Buffy, because she looked like me. I was a blonde girl who was into girly things, but I could stick up for myself, and I feel like Buffy will always be a feminist icon. She, it's mentioned on multiple websites and in books, and they've taught classes on this show about this girl who has to be selfless and has to save the world. I have a few favorite episodes of this show, and they're all on this slide. There's 144 episodes, and I love all of them, but these are my top 7 from each season. And there definitely shows that besides the 3 groundbreaking episodes that I mentioned earlier, these are the ones that I would recommend to somebody who's just now getting into the show or isn't sure to give the show a try, that they should really watch these episodes. Excuse me. And, it will give them the basic idea of the show. I've actually been lucky enough to meet a few of the actors from the show. I've met James Marsters and Charisma Carpenter, who have also been on Supernatural, and James Marsters, I believe, was a parent in another Supernatural teen show recently. I've also met Nicholas Brendan, who was also on Criminal Minds. I actually bowled against him and won. I beat him 146-45, and it was a fun night. I got to spend, quality time with somebody who I grew up watching, and, was somebody that was on my TV every Tuesday night for 7 years straight. Buffy is my security blanket. I watch the show at least once a year, and I still get all of the same feelings that I got when I first watched it back in 1997, if that's hard to believe. It's a show that has something for everyone. It's got comedy, it's got drama, it's got sci-fi and fantasy, and it's got that horror aspect. It's just a great show that continues to build a following among generations, and it's just a show that no matter what, I know that I will never get tired of it, and I really hope that you give it a chance, because I promise you won't be disappointed. Thank you.